legends where magic meets the heart. Commander's Pod, where the stories unfold, with heroes and villains new and old. Duncan and Sloan got the word, in the world of EVA we play.
Hello, everyone. Welcome again to Commander's Pod. I am your pod father, Duncan.
I am Sloan.
And we are Jeffless today. He is under the weather, so we are flying just the two of us. Should be less aggro that way.
Yeah. But
So
He'll
we
be
miss
here
you,
in
Jeff.
spirit.
Hopefully you'll feel better.
yeah, absolutely.
So today we're going to talk about all the universes beyond craziness that's going on right now. We have
Yeah.
3 sets coming out this year that are universes beyond. All 3 sets are, well, at least we know 2 of the sets. They haven't said for sure on the third are standard legal.
Yeah, they I believe last year they actually, when they talked about Universes Beyond, they mentioned that they're going to start making them all standard legal. I think we went
Well, they
over
said
that.
most. They didn't say all.
Yeah,
So that's why I don't
so-
know for sure on Avatar.
Right. I do believe it's supposed to, from the article that I found about it, since we're going to, that's one of the ones we're going to talk about today. I did see the article. The article did say it should be standard legal.
Okay, but it said
So,
should.
Yeah, it said it's standard legal.
Okay,
but
so
again,
it is. There you go.
Yeah, we'll take it for its word as of now. If it's wrong, it's not our fault. It's the article's fault.
Right, there you go. But so we're going to talk about the universes beyond. That includes Avatar, that includes Final Fantasy, and that includes Spiderman.
Yeah.
All 3 very cool stuff.
Yeah.
We're going to have our card of the day, and we'll just kind of go through what's coming up. So
Yeah.
we'll jump right in. So Aggro Jeff, we don't have Aggro Jeff this week.
Right, which means we get to play Guess the Aggro.
And it's tough because this time he was at a work event last week, but it was just over a couple towns over in Orlando.
Right, but it was funny because he got back, was here for like 2 days because he was on another trip, and then he left again for like 3 more. So like he has not been here a lot recently, and so he has not been able to experience a lot of things. So I'm going to guess that he's going to be. I mean,
Maybe it's just life getting in the way of playing.
maybe that's a good one.
Yeah.
I think maybe he's going to go with he's just tired from constantly having to travel.
Yeah, the poor guy. Poor baby.
Because technically, the 2 of the bigger travels he's done recently were both work related. They were both technically work trips, and so maybe he's getting a little tired of traveling and not being at home. And
That does sound very Jeff.
Yeah.
Whining about how much he had to travel.
right, exactly. So I'm gonna go with he's gonna complain about how much he's had to travel recently. Is gonna be my guess for next week.
Okay, that's a pretty good one.
Yeah.
I will stick with life getting in the way of playing.
Yeah, mark the tape. We'll see what happens next week.
Yep. Place your bets. Let's get right into card of the day. So guess what? It is not blue.
It's astonishing.
I know.
I can't believe it. He did it finally. He picked a card that's not blue. I didn't know that you knew other colors existed, honestly.
I do. I
Yeah.
do.
Crazy.
So this one is white, and it's called Paraceline. And it is 2 and a white is the cost. It's a sorcery.
Mm-hmm.
Uncommon. And it says, destroy all enchantments. You gain 1 life for each enchantment destroyed this way. Now, I knew green had cards that did this.
Right.
Tranquility being the most famous. But this one, for the same cost, you get life as well. And you don't have to choose between getting rid of somebody's Smothering Tithe and somebody's Rhystic Study
Right.
and somebody's Mystic Remora.
Yeah, they're all bye-bye.
They're all gone.
Yeah.
So obviously you don't want to play this in decks where you're enchantment heavy.
Correct.
But if you just have a few enchantments, you still might want to play this because sometimes getting rid of your stuff is a small price to pay to get rid of their much better stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the idea with this card, granted, it's a sorcery, so you have your limited availability and when to play it, obviously, on your turn. But that's true of most board wipes. There's very few actual board wipes. I know someone's going to say, well, what about Cyclonic Rift? It's, in my opinion, it's not a true board wipe because it is a bounce wipe, in my opinion.
And it's a one-sided bounce wipe.
Yeah, and
you
it's a
get to keep all
one-sided
your
one,
stuff.
and it's double the cost of any other board wipe you could play that's a sorcery speed that actually destroys stuff.
Yeah.
So it's a little different. So I'm not counting Cyclonic Rift in this. Most of your board wipes are on
Sorcery speed.
The thing, though, that is unique about this one that I do like, which I think is what kind of makes it stand out a little bit, is a lot of times you have destroy all creatures or destroy all non-land permanents, and there's no benefit. It's just everything's going to get wiped. At least with this, yes, it's limited to enchantments, but like you mentioned, there's a lot of great enchantments out there that people run between Rhystic Study, Smothering Tide, Trouble in Pairs, a newer one. anything like that because this is
Almost all of Green's card draw. There's a couple creature ones, but
yeah,
like
a lot of their card draw, and Green also has a lot of enchantment creatures, so
Yep.
it would hit those even
Yep.
because they still meet the criteria of being an enchantment. So the idea of this, where not only am I going to destroy all the enchantments, yeah, I might have to sacrifice a couple, but I'm going to gain a bunch of life for it too, which could help maybe put me back in a better place, is definitely a trade-off worth. Like I would put Day of Judgment in every white deck I had if it also said I gained life for every creature I destroyed.
right.
Like 100% every time without fail. Be like, yeah, that's absolutely going in every white deck I have. So, again, a little bit more niche in regards to, I think, its playability. But with that being said, there's plenty of times where like you said, you're sitting there, you're like, which enchantment's worse?
Yeah.
Yeah, don't have to really think too hard about it when you're going to destroy them all anyways.
Yep. And those enchantments that say, if you have this much life during your upkeep, you win the game.
Yep.
If anybody has any of those and they have that amount of life, this will get rid of those too. Like
Yeah.
there's a lot of stuff that this covers that you're going to want to get rid of. So it's
Yeah.
not an all the time, but there's going to be situation. Pretty much every game in the games I play, I have some point at which I want to remove enchantments.
Yeah.
And this is one that will do that and just non-judgmentally. It'll just get rid of all of them.
Yeah,
So-
you don't have to worry about my least favorite part about the game, politicking, because it's like, guys, listen, everything's going. Sorry, like,
Yep.
you can't convince me not to get rid of his enchantment by saying yours is helpful. They're all going away.
Yep.
And now you just very quietly, maybe and sneakily, start putting your life total up so people don't notice that you just
Yeah.
gained 15 life.
Well, if there's 15 enchantments, that was definitely needed.
Yeah, I will say Jeff does have an enchantress deck. It's green white enchantress deck. And I think there's like 20 something enchantments easily in
Yeah.
that deck. And even some enchantment creatures like we mentioned. So something like this against him is really nice because it's like I wipe out your whole board. I gain a bunch of life. Sure, I gave up 2 enchantments, but
Yeah.
it's okay.
And here's what I will say too. So the market price on this currently says $2.64. However, reality says if you actually go look, they start at 9 cents.
Yeah. So it's probably a print, certain prints or certain
Well,
arts.
it's only got one printing.
Okay.
But what it is it's 9 cents, but there's like $1 or something charge for shipping.
Right.
But as long as you get over $5 shipping with that vendor, you don't pay shipping.
Right, exactly.
So just add other things to it. But even if you add that, it's still half of that price. You know, it was like $1.13 shipping or some ridiculous thing with a 9 cent cost. It's very cheap. Just buy some other stuff when you're doing it to cover the shipping.
And then, of course, because with these cards of the day, we always bring this up, flavor text.
Yep.
Moonlight has a way of showing all things as they truly are, for better or for worse. Zilla of Lamholt.
No idea who Zilla is.
I don't either, but we do know who the champion of Lamholt is.
Yep.
So,
And you want to get rid of that too if you see it.
yeah, please do.
Yeah, but it's not an enchantment. This won't do it.
Yeah. But very cool card, very cool pick. Never heard of this. I didn't even know how to pronounce that word. I'm glad you had to say it, not me.
Yeah. I'm assuming I said it right.
Yeah, whatever. I mean,
But I like Tranquility, and I never knew that White had the same thing. So-
right.
But better because
Yeah.
you gain a life. So
Very
anyway,
cool.
that's card of the day. Let's move on to our main topic, Universes Beyond. So there's a lot to get into. So you kind of spoiled last week the Avatar thing.
Oh man, so pumped about this. I'm very excited about Avatar.
If you weren't sure last episode, be sure now. He is very excited.
I'm very excited about this. There's a lot of cool things they can do, which I'm excited to go over. But so Avatar was announced.
It's still early stages. They
Yeah.
just announced it. We don't have a card to talk about.
Unfortunately, we have no cards to show for it. The other one they just announced, Spiderman, with some cards leaked, which we're going to go over. And then the last one, which is the oldest one now of the 3, is Final Fantasy.
Right.
And they
More
have some
cards for that
And
one.
there's more cards for that one too. So we'll go over these in order. It looks like we're going to start with Avatar.
Yep.
All right. So Avatar. I found an article, looked it up when I knew we were talking about this today, and the article says, first off, it's only going to be based on the original animated series of Avatar: Last Airbender. So not the movie, not the live-action series on Netflix, not Legend of Korra, nothing to do with the new Seven
So
Havens.
Will Smith's son won't be making an appearance in this.
No, Will Smith's son will not be making an appearance unless they reprint Force of Will and someone makes a proxy
Right.
of Will Smith's son for some reason slapping somebody else.
Oh man, but if they did that,
We can't go down that rabbit hole. We'll be here all day talking about hilarious
They should just put
Different
force
ones
of will, not even as a meme. Just put it in there and let him know.
Yeah.
Just let him know.
Right. And then they did announce also with this one they are making commander decks. So I know that's not the theme for other universes beyond.
Yep,
but
some
in
they
that
will,
article,
some they won't.
Yeah, in this article they did say they are planning on making commander decks for it.
Which
So-
means they've already got them built. They just
right.
haven't.
So, which is really cool. And so, like I talked about last week, I said it would be cool if they had some of these characters be the commanders of these decks. But in this article, there was some cool things that they talked about. And for people who aren't aware of the show and a lot of the references, there's a lot of cool things about the show. But one of the coolest things about the show is that the creatures are all mixed creatures. So there's not just a bear. There's like a platypus bear or a chicken pig, or like they're all like double creatures. And so I was thinking,
that means dual creature type probably.
it would be really cool, yeah, if they made some of those creatures, like the platypus bears or the flying bison, or things like that, where they have these two creature types. And so I think that would be cool.
So it'd be like a bird beast or a bird cow.
Right, exactly. Like, a bird cow or something of that nature. And so I definitely think there's a lot of cool things they could do with that, because the creatures are already kind of fantastical in that sense of how they were originally created. So they don't really have to go far. Flying lemurs, parrot monkeys, things like that. Like, they all exist already in the world. So, and their design form is really cool too.
Oh my gosh, Ragavan with flying.
That would be funny.
That would.
So
Flying monkeys, and you don't even have to go to Wizard of Oz.
yeah, that's right. Yeah. But pretty cool idea in regards to creature types. I definitely think we're going to see maybe dual creature types, like you said. So like a platypus bear, things of that nature. The other thing too is that there are some iconic references in the show that they could very easily convert into cards. One of them, more famously, is Secret Tunnel. There's an episode about the secret tunnel, and someone says that needs to be Rogue's Passage, because literally the whole point of the secret tunnel in that episode is that it was made by two figures in history in the show that were trying to meet with each other because they were from warring nations, and so they built this secret tunnel so they could meet and be together because they were in love. And so the idea of having the secret passage to get to each other, called the secret tunnel, would be a great alternate name for.
So it could also be
Rogue's
escape
Passage.
tunnel.
It could be, or access tunnel,
Yep.
So there's a couple different things, but it needs to be a card, because it is because the song that they sing for it, it's like this hippie dude. It's hilarious. And if you go up to anyone who watched this show and you just say Secret Tunnel, they'll probably start singing the song because it's so catchy and goofy. But another one is that the article brought up is the Cabbage Man. There's this cabbage vendor who throughout the show just randomly appears, and his cabbages get destroyed constantly by different things. And so he always screams, "My cabbages." So they could definitely do something with him, like maybe making his cart like a vehicle or something. But there's a lot of cool things they can definitely do. Even, which would also be cool, is if they did like plane chase with the major cities or the four nations, like you're in the air nation, and do as plane chase cards, So there's a lot of cool things they can definitely do by adding in Avatar, and I'm very excited to see what they do as a big Avatar fan. So that's at least my perspective on it, and kind of what I'm excited to see and hoping to see. And I'm sure if anyone at Magic the Gathering is a Avatar fan, they will make sure they did it justice.
Oh, I'm sure there's many Avatar fans.
So that's what I'm excited about. Duncan, you have an outside perspective because you have never seen the show.
Never watched it.
Okay.
Never watched a single episode. Never watched the movies.
Don't watch
never
the
watched
movies.
the TV show.
Movie's trash. Don't watch the movie.
And the live action TV show, I haven't watched that.
It's okay. It's definitely better than the movie, but the original series is what you need to watch. It's on Netflix. Anyone who hasn't watched it, highly recommend it. And Duncan, I would say that should be your homework, because you should try to at least watch a couple episodes.
I keep talking about it, but I haven't done
I
it.
mean, your son's the perfect age to watch it.
Yeah.
It's really good. Aang is kind of a goofy kid, and they do funny things, like in the first episode they go penguin sledding, where they capture penguins and they use them as sleds and sled through the snow. You know, so it's just really.
I mean,
well
there's
done.
another card they could do, penguin sledding.
Yeah, penguin sledding, another vehicle. You know,
That would be
with
like
snow
a mount.
permanents.
Maybe a mount.
Oh yeah, mount.
Yeah, penguin mount.
If you have a certain amount of snow permanents, it does something.
Yeah.
Like, you know, there's so much they could do.
Oh,
with
they
the
could
show.
bring back snow permanents. They could bring back deserts.
Yeah, they could bring back deserts, snow permanents. You know, it's just so well set up for Magic, and it's kind of crazy that until they announced it, like, it didn't really click how well it would fit inside the Magic universe, because of the fact that there's already the 4 colors that exist, basically, with green being earthbenders, red being firebenders, blue being waterbenders, and white being airbenders. Like, they kind of already
There
were
is a
those
5th
color
color.
scheme. Well, in Magic, there's a 5th color. But what I'm saying is, for like the sake of you know, Avatar, like, they kind of already hit 4 colors pretty solidly, you know. But the other cool thing is too, which was in the article, is someone said maybe they would make Aang Planeswalker. Which I was like, that would be pretty cool, because that makes sense, because he's an avatar, and maybe they can make other avatars.
Or maybe make him a
planeswalkers.
legendary that flips into it.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, like that. Yeah, that would be dope for sure. And a lot of people were, you know, theorizing kind of what Jeff said, which was like he was white on one side, when he flipped over, he would turn into a 4-color creature, or he's like a 4-colored planeswalker. But they could definitely do planeswalkers with the old avatars too, like Avatar Roshi and Roku, and, you know, so all these old avatars, they could do that with even, and make them planeswalkers. You know, so there's just so many cool things you could do with the show, with the characters and the world that they already set up. And again, because it's already kind of closed up and set on its own, the show is, because it was done years ago. You don't really have to worry about anything new that they're doing changing it, because even Legend of Korra took place, I think, like 40 or 60 years after the show ended. So it's not even like it's in the same time. You know, it's the same world, same universe, but it's so far spaced out that it wouldn't really, you know, have much bearing on anything. So, but yeah, very excited about it. I'm really hoping that when they start spoiling stuff, I want to see who they do. I'm telling you right now, if they don't make Zuko a commander for Precon, I'm gonna be a little upset. But I already did tell my wife when they announced this last week, I was like, babe, just so you know, like, I'm buying a lot of it, like a lot of it.
Start saving now.
Start saving now, because I'm definitely gonna get a lot of it, because I'm very excited about it.
Nice.
It might surpass Assassin's Creed when they announced Assassin's Creed.
And you love that. You are the #1 fan of Assassin's Creed. As a set, it didn't do that well for them, but you loved it.
But I love the flavor of it, and like, that's a big thing for me, is if you do a mashup, right, you need to do it in a way that makes sense. And that's always kind of been my voice behind them doing these things. You know, I've said over the last couple of years now, since they've been doing these, is as long as they make it make sense, I'm fine. Lord of the Rings, they made all the characters, all of them, they picked colors and they made sense. It made them more enjoyable, because it wasn't something ridiculous and outlandish that didn't click with that character. You know, it was the color schemes they picked were good. Their abilities felt good. They felt clean. Same thing for Assassin's Creed. I felt like their abilities felt clean. They made sense.
And they had some good stuff.
Yeah,
and
the art looked great.
A lot of the uncommon commanders in there are pretty good.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, they were solid. And I definitely think that, again, Avatar is another set they could do a really good job with, because it's set up very well for this universe, with it being, you know, more fantasy-esque. Comparative to other planes and other universes they've gone to.
So I will say this about the universes beyond. I feel like we mentioned a few episodes ago, I feel like it's getting a little tired. Like, I want more good regular sets.
Right.
I like the universes beyond. You know, I'm very excited for Spiderman.
Yeah.
I think that's going to be very good. I'm more excited for the Marvel stuff coming down the road.
Yeah.
But I want, if they're going to do universes beyond, I want another Lord of the Rings. Like, that was a full, if you took just Lord of the Rings as a set and use that, you could have great Magic games.
Right.
You can have great Commander games.
Right.
You don't need any other card.
Yeah.
But what's in that set?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, and they did like a full on set. Like,
Yeah,
they did
that
a
was-
lot.
That was a lot. They did a lot of printings. They needed to make their money back because they had to pay so much for the license, so they printed a lot.
Right.
They did the really cool thing with the One Ring and the one of one. I want another one of one thing to chase.
I mean,
Do you know how many boxes I opened on that opening weekend?
Yeah.
Dude.
I mean, it was cool. I mean, they did a good job of that, and I could very easily see them doing something like that for, the Avatar world. They could very easily find a character
But
where
I
they make
don't
it
think
like
it's
a one of
big-
one.
So Avatar is very popular. Don't get me wrong.
Right.
But I don't think it's Lord of the Rings popular.
True.
Lord
And
of the
I would agree
Rings
with
is
that.
like way more than Magic fans.
Well,
but
yeah.
almost all Magic fans probably had some at least knowledge of it, if not a like of it. But it had
Yeah.
such a huge. I can't even think of what IP they could do with that would have that far of a reach.
I mean, they would have to do something that's a similar level of iconicness because, again, the big thing with Lord of the Rings that people
they
tend
probably
to forget.
could have done it with Marvel.
Right, but the thing that people tend to forget with Lord of the Rings is they were books like from like the 70s or something. Like they're very iconic books, and then not only were they like kind of groundbreaking books when they came out, then Peter Jackson, I believe, right, is the director.
Yeah.
Yeah, Peter Jackson then made this groundbreaking movie.
Yeah, with the
about
best CGI we'd ever seen.
Right,
at that
exactly.
time.
So, and a lot of it is, a lot of the characters, like the orcs and stuff, they had them actually real actors doing it. So it had, more real actors comparative to CGI. So,
Right.
It is hard to think of something else. Again, Marvel, they could have done it, but Marvel's so spread out between fandom because there's so many heroes, right? There's like hundreds of heroes.
But
It's
you
not
could
the
have done
same.
that. I mean,
Sure. Yeah.
yeah.
I see-
But I don't think it fits. Like Lord of the Rings is fantasy, so it fits magic. It fits the.
You know how they could have done it for Marvel, which I think you guys still have a chance to do if anyone from Magic is listening. They could make a Stan Lee 1-of-1 card.
They could.
That would be cool.
that
A
would be
Stan
so
Lee
cool.
1-of-1 card that's like a Planeswalker or something. Obviously, print like you did with the One Ring. Print other versions of them, but make one-of-1 version of like maybe him like there and like him throughout his youth, or like maybe pictures of
And maybe
him
like
throughout
his
the
powers are
MCU.
specifically for heroes and villains, or
Right, yeah, like something like that. Like he can exile,
Yeah.
he can like play. Oh, here you go. +1, exile target villain or return target hero from exile. Like something like
Yeah.
that, playing on
Yeah.
the idea of he's the creator of Marvel.
Yeah.
But yeah, I can definitely see what you're saying. It would be very cool if they did that. Obviously, Avatar's not nearly as big as Lord of the Rings.
Yeah, so I don't think
So
it could
it
carry
wouldn't.
it.
Yeah, I don't think it
They
would.
could. They said they could do Lord of the Rings again.
I mean, and the nice thing with Lord of the Rings is technically they did all the Hobbit series after
Right.
too. So I know they weren't as well received and loved as much, obviously, as the original trilogy, but very well could do something even with those, where you do a whole Hobbit series of Lord of the Rings, and you do all the.
I mean, I think they pretty
Hobbitses.
much have done everything with Lord of the Rings you could do. I just want something of that level because honestly, compared to the sets they're putting out, that was like way better.
Yeah, and I will
Honestly.
say the only one that immediately comes to mind is Star Wars.
Star Wars, but again, it doesn't really fit magic. You can do it as a Universes Beyond, but to have it to be a full set, it might be too jarring. I don't know. We'll just have to wait and see.
Yeah,
See what they come out with. But let's move on to Spider-Man.
Spider-Man.
We have a little bit. So we
Spider-Man.
stack these kind of least information to most information that we have.
Yeah.
So Spider-Man, there will be no commander decks for Spider-Man. They have announced
Sad
that.
face. But
But they're doing welcome decks.
and they're doing the scenes.
Yes, the no scene boxes.
Scene boxes, which that's what they did for Lord of the Rings, and I got one, and it's dope. It sits on my desk at home. It's awesome. I might borderline bring it into work, but then I was looking at the cards. I was like, you know what? This would be a really fun deck to build.
Yeah.
Because
And they said those scene boxes will be more commander centric.
right,
So it won't be a commander deck, but it will be things that feed into commander.
right. So I'm excited about that. I'm glad they did that. I definitely think that is something that could definitely help push some of these Universes Beyond sets to maybe gain more traction, is having 6 cards that set up a scene that you get a little portrait for, and you set it
Yep.
up on your, because to me that's awesome. Like I love the fact that I look over on my desk and there's a scene of Gandalf the White fighting off a Nazgul, and it's all magic cards too at the same
Yep.
time, and they're foiled and they're pretty, they're all in place and they line up perfectly. And the really cool thing with the Lord of the Rings one was they actually gave me 6 of the art card versions of the playable versions. And we have a buddy that's a huge Lord of the Rings fan, and I actually took those and put them in a portrait for him and gave them to him as a birthday present because I knew he was a big fan of it, and he loved it, and it was really cool that they did that. So they are bringing back scene boxes for Marvel Spider-Man, which I think is cool.
Yep.
Good move. Very
So,
smart.
so let's go through, because we do know what they're printing as far as what types of products.
Right.
So they are printing play boosters.
Yep.
So the other thing, I guess, to get into, so there will be different set symbols within Spider-Man.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not going to get into them all. It gets kind of like there's SPD and SPE and MAR. But the key here is MAR are not standard legal.
Right.
So MAR are going to be the more EDH type things.
Right.
But so the reason I bring this up now when I'm talking about what's coming out, because play booster boxes, each pack will have 0 to 1 MAR cards. So it may have one, it may not. So if you're playing standard, you may get cards in your pack you can't play.
Right. Which
So
is,
just be warned.
yeah.
It would be one card at most, and it won't be every pack. But be warned that there may be one that you're like, this is really cool, doesn't do me any good in standard.
Right. And I think it's kind of a little crappy that it's that way, but at the same time, at least they made the percentage so low, right?
Well, I think those MAR cards are going to be more sought after. They're going to be rarer. They're going to be
Right.
But anyway, so we do have play boosters. We do have collector's boosters. Collector's boosters will have at least one Mar card.
Mm-hmm.
Your foils could be also Mar cards,
Right.
but they guarantee you get one Mar card in each collector booster pack. The bundles will come with one spin down die, a storage box, which obviously is the bundle box, a promo card, which, a Spider-Man promo card is going to be pretty cool.
Yeah, I'm very excited. I like buying the bundle boxes myself. I think they're cool because I like having different spin downs. I think that's fun.
Yeah, and a
I'm
Spider-Man one?
Yeah, I'm very excited. I hope they do like a blue-red swirl.
They'll
Spider-Man one
they'll
with
have
the
the
white.
common ones, and then they'll have one that's like only in every 5th box or something that people
Yeah.
want. But what was the other thing I saw about that? I was just gonna say the bundles have play boosters.
Yep.
So
They usually have somewhere around like 8 to 10-ish. Does it say how many? Are
9.
9, yeah.
9
that's-
play boosters.
That's pretty standard for
Yep.
bundles.
And then there's the scene box, and the scene box will have 6 foil borderless scene cards, which they already tell you what they will be.
Yeah, that's actually it's actually the 6 cards that they.
That we are going to go over in a minute.
Mhm.
So
Yep.
you get all 6 cards, the full art foil versions. 6 art cards, probably like he said, where
Yep.
they're exactly the same art, so you don't have to use the card you want to play with.
Right. So
You
if
can
you
use
want to
those.
play with them, you can actually put the art cards in it instead, and then you can play with the playing cards that they
And then
give you,
the
playable cards. I
The
should say.
display easel, obviously.
Yep.
And then while I am sad that they're not doing commander decks, I think it's super smart to do welcome decks for this.
Yeah.
So they will have one welcome deck for each color. In each welcome deck will be 2 decks. So you can play with somebody.
Right.
They're mini decks. They're 30-card decks.
Mm-hmm.
But as an introductory product, way to go using Spider-Man.
Yeah. I mean, if you were to pick one set this year to do this with, this is the one to do
Yeah.
it because you're going to get the most people.
Spider-Man
buying
is
this.
more popular than Avatar or Final Fantasy.
Yeah, by far.
Yeah, and if they're not into Magic, what better draw than Spider-Man?
Right.
You know?
I mean, it's hard not to like. Spider-Man is one of those guys where even if he's not your favorite superhero, you still like him. You think he's a good hero. You think he's cool and fun because, he's that, smart aleck, kind of quick-witted teenager, and so many people, just kind of like the way he presents himself, even through all the different movies they've made and through all the comics and everything. He's just such a likable character.
Yeah.
So, and I would probably argue one of the most popular characters in the Marvel universe. Period.
I think so. I think that's
Like-
why he got the first set.
Yeah, like, again, all the other ones they did last year, like Wolverine and Black Panther and Storm. Not saying that they're not popular by any means, but man, you put blue and red up in front of somebody and ask whose scheme that is, they'll know it's Spider-Man almost immediately.
Well, and the thing is, think about what single Marvel character has had more movies?
Yeah, I mean, not a lot. No one's had as many solo movies as Spider-Man.
Because
think.
there's been 3 different reboots of Spider-Man.
Yeah,
Into the Spider-Verse.
yeah, and then
2 movies for that, and the
yeah,
third
and
one
there's a
on the
third
way.
one coming, and then Tom Holland has 3 Spider-Man movies, I think. Tobey Maguire had 3. Andrew Garfield had 2.
Right.
Like,
And well, there's a 4th Spider-Man 3 there's Spider-Man 3 for Tobey Maguire is coming out, right? Is that the one who's getting the new one?
he's already had 3. His would be a 4th one.
Okay, so it's the other guy.
Oh, Andrew Garfield.
Andrew Garfield's
Yeah,
getting
he's
a
got to
third.
have the 3rd one. Yeah.
Yeah, so at least he gets to finish it out, which I
Yeah.
think is cool.
Yeah, that's cool. And I do like how they brought all the Spider-Man together in the movie. If you haven't seen it yet, Spider-Man with Doctor Strange. What the heck was it called?
Into the Multiverse?
Into the Multiverse, I think is what it was called. where Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire both made an appearance, and they
Yeah.
even did the Spider-Man meme where they all
Yeah.
3.8. I was like, good job. Like they know what they're doing.
By the way, you're going to see the art I did for this episode, and I tried to do something like that.
Yeah.
It didn't quite come out right, but it's still cool.
Very good.
But yeah, so they'll have a different deck for each of the colors. Then the second deck in it will be one random one of the other 4.
Right.
So that can be dicey. If you buy 2, you might end up with the same third one. But
Yeah, if you buy 2 of the welcome boxes, there's a chance that you could have 2 duplicate decks as the second deck.
one. But that seems unlikely, but it could happen.
Yeah.
You know. And like I said, they are half decks. They're 30-card decks. And then the last product will be, of course, the pre-release boxes. So the fact that there's Spider-Man pre-release. There's always the part about it where it's like, well, this doesn't really fit Magic. But just saying Spider-Man pre-release, it's kind of a good feeling. It feels fun.
It's fun for sure. So the cards that they released that we know are going to be in there, and this is going to be the scene cards. I'll hit the first one.
Yep.
Venom, Deadly Devourer. He's 2 black-green, legendary creature, symbiote villain. He's a 4/4, vigilance menace, and pay 3. Exile target creature card from a graveyard. When you do, put X 1/1 counters on target symbiote, where X is the exile card's toughness. So what this tells me is we're getting symbiote as a new creature type.
Yes. Since it is on his card as a creature type.
Yeah, and furthermore, his ability
Targets symbiotes.
Targets symbiotes. Yeah. It doesn't say him; it says symbiotes. So that tells me that there's going to be other creatures that.
Oh yeah, Carnage is in there.
Yeah, Carnage.
Carnage has a offspring too, I think.
Yeah, if you watch any of the Venom movies that came out, there's like a couple of different Venom symbiotes that we see. In the last one specifically, The Last Dance, which just came out on Netflix, there's like 7 different symbiotes that they show or something like that. So it very easily could have a bunch of them. So, but sick art, classic kind of comic book-esque art style with the big long tongue sticking out and huge kind of bulking mass. So very cool and very excited about that. Now, I will say real quick before we go on to the next card that you're about to read, if I do happen to get this and I get a Venom, I will only play him in the Venom voice because I think that'd be hilarious to be like, Duncan, I hit you for 4 damage. Take it now. Because I love Venom's voice. I think it's hilarious. I think it's awesome. So, but very good card. I think overall pretty strong, especially with it being in black and green. You get the color
it's not
that wants
overpowering, but it's pretty strong.
Yeah, because I would say black is the color that wants to put things in the graveyard, and green's the thing that has big things.
Yep.
So kind of putting those together and giving someone a bunch of 1/1 counters when you exile something, that's a pretty good color combination to do it in. So, all right, you want to hit the next one?
So next one I have is Sensational Spider-Man. 1 a white and a blue. Legendary creature, Spider Human Hero, 3/3. Whenever Sensational Spider-Man attacks, tap target creature defending player controls and put a stun counter on it. Then you may remove up to 3 stun counters from among all permanents. Draw cards equal to the number of stun counters removed this way. So I like this. It's not super strong.
Right.
But you can play with this. There's a ton of cards in blue, and I think some in white.
Yeah, there's some in white with some of their newer sets.
Yeah, that put stun counters on stuff. Just stun everything. Overstun them. 20 counters on some.
Yeah.
And you can remove as many as you want and draw that many,
Yeah, up to 3. Yeah, so my big thing with this one that I kind of like is that it doesn't specify where the stun counters have to be from. So, for example,
if somebody stunned your stuff,
you can unstun it.
Yeah.
Or you can intentionally play stuff that comes out with stun counters on it because you want to remove them to draw cards.
Yeah.
Like, I'll play out 2 or 3 things with stun counters on them, attack, I'll stun your thing, and I'm going to take 3 off. I'm going to draw 3 cards. And then my things get to untap 1 turn quicker, So I think that's what they were going for, is kind of this idea of he's stunning your enemies and unstunning your allies, quote unquote.
Now, some feedback I saw online was like you missed an opportunity to call them web counters. But they're already stun counters.
Yeah, stun counters already exist. It would be very confusing because then it would not work with anything that does a stun counter.
And I think the intention here is to be able to be played with other stuff.
Right. And again, this is supposed to be in standard, so they can't make up a whole new thing that hasn't existed yet. Obviously, they want it to meld with standard.
The other thing I saw online, so this is Sensational Spider-Man. Mm-hmm. There is probably an Amazing Spider-Man.
Right.
An Ultimate Spider-Man.
That's what I'm hoping for. When I saw the
Spider-Man
name,
2099.
yeah, like so my hope is that they do a bunch of nonsense with all the different Spider-Mans like they did with the Sony animated series movies, Into the Spider-Verse and Across the Spider-Verse. It'd be super cool to see some of those Spider-Man. I would love it if they made the fat Spider-Man from that movie because he is hysterical. And I
Are
think
you talking about Peter Parker?
Peter Parker, the old one, the one that's like overweight and stuff. Oh man, and I actually dressed up as him as Halloween one year, and it was so niche. Like a lot of people didn't know, but people who saw the movie, because this was like right after the movie came out, they're like, "Dude, that's a great cosplay." By the way, I like that game. Like they thought it was hysterical because I wore one sneaker and a boot that was like untied, and I wore like a really tight Spider-Man shirt that I had. Like, oh man, it was hilarious and. I love it. So I think it would be cool if they had a bunch of different Spider-Man.
So I don't want to burst your bubble, but I think that they're sticking to the comic books, not the movies.
Nah, that's fine. There's still a lot of comic book ones too.
Yeah.
I'll take it. So
you want to grab the next one?
yeah, I got Green Goblin Nemesis, 2 black-red, legendary creature, goblin human villain. Flying. Whenever you discard a non-land card, put a 1/1 counter on target goblin you control. Whenever you discard a land card, create a tap treasure token. So, and he's a 3/3. So,
And he is a goblin.
And he is a goblin. He is a goblin human.
So Krenko
villain.
and him, they're buddies.
Yep. So you get the addition of black in him compared to most other goblins, which are usually just red.
Well, what's her name? Mother Wart.
Yeah, there are some that are other colors, but generally speaking, you're limiting yourself to usually just red whenever you play a goblin deck. Because Krenko is the most notorious one.
Yeah.
Mono red.
Yep. Mono red are the best goblin decks. Most out of control goblin decks.
So again, with this one, kind of the idea of being able to discard. Black's a great color to discard with.
Yep.
Some might say it's one of the best colors to discard with.
Yep.
So again, really good color synergy here, I think, for what they were going for. Not crazy overpowered, I don't think. Not anything that's groundbreaking and going to ruin the game.
Yeah.
They kind of controlled it with making the treasures come in tap, so you can't just kind of infinitely loop discarding lands and getting treasures to keep casting things that discard more lands. Like they come in tapped. So good on him for that. But yeah, I mean, I would say overall, again, not crazy overpowered. It's not like anything that I'm looking at this and I'm really worried about. But at the same time, I definitely think there's a lot of fun things you can do with it, with it having the goblin synergy and the discard synergy in red and black.
Right.
So overall, again, pretty good card. Pretty standard.
Well, so I don't know what order you have him in, but this card goes with him, so I'm going to call this one next. So
Go ahead.
Pumpkin Bombs. 1 in a red artifact. It says tap, discard 2 cards, draw 3 cards, then put a fuse counter on this artifact. It deals damage equal to the number of fuse counters on it to target opponent. They gain control of this artifact. So a couple things here. Number 1, the ability feeds right into the Green Goblin's ability.
Right.
So it works for him great.
Yeah.
Number 2, though, the thing I'm confused about, I don't know why an opponent gains control. I think it's to limit its power, right?
Sure.
But why would a bomb go to somebody else? They just blow up.
So it could be because now, not 100% sure of the lore on it, but it could be because some of the pumpkin bombs, they were like gashed, kind of like Joker gas people.
Yeah.
So I think kind of the idea is like you're hitting them with a gas bomb and then it converts them, quote unquote, kind of how it did. So maybe that's what they're going for.
Or maybe it's supposed to be bouncing around.
Yeah,
That's it,
and I
bouncing
think because I think the other thing too is that it's very pick and choosy. It's like, when do you want to do this? And the drawback is you have to give it up after you do it, but you still get a pretty big benefit. And this is something that I feel like could slightly get out of control at a table with a bunch of people who want to discard stuff. Like it almost kind of becomes like do I even want to play this? Because this could get out of control real quick. Jeff mentioned last week that he has an artifact deck that he wants to discard artifacts into the graveyard so that way he can make copies of them. And he's red white.
Yeah.
So this is something that if you put it in that deck is going to be gross.
Yeah.
And you're basically giving people a hand grenade to keep blowing each other up with over and over and over again because it deals damage.
And it's card draw.
Yeah, it's card draw. It's damage directly to players, and it bounces around the table. I think it's kind of just like that fun idea of you're tossing a live hand grenade until it gets to the point of where, it's going to kill somebody.
Yeah.
Like, because I think based off the verbiage of this, if you kill somebody with this, I think it can't go anywhere because you have to give it to that person, but then they're dead. So I don't know what would happen with that. If they're dead, they can't gain control of it based off the verbiage there.
Yeah.
So I think it's just kind of this funny idea of bouncing around a live hand grenade to everybody. All the players get to enjoy throwing grenades.
And if
at
you
each
use
other.
it as a killing shot, then they don't get it.
Yeah. So I kind of think that's the potential idea behind it. But I don't think it's a crazy powerful card. It's not anything that's going to ruin Magic. I think it's a good card. I think what it's doing feeds directly in the Green Goblin, so the synergy's there.
Yep.
But it's not doing it in a way that seems unfair or unjust that people are going to be upset about this.
So I am going to speed us up a little bit because
Yep.
I don't want to get bogged down, but we do have 2 more cards here.
Yep.
So real quick, just go through the next one real fast.
Yep. So Doc Ock, Evil Inventor, 5 blue and a black for an 8/8 legendary creature, human scientist villain. At the beginning of combat on your turn, target non-creature artifact you control becomes an 8/8 robot villain artifact creature in addition to its other types. I mean, very expensive to get out.
Well, but he's an 8/8 too. At first I'm like, that's not Doc Ock, and I'm like, well, I guess it's including the tentacles, right?
Right. So, I mean, it's... And the other thing is, too...
And he makes 8/8s.
He actually makes... They don't go back. Like, they just are now 8/8s. So,
Doesn't say until end of turn.
Right, exactly. So, I mean, I see that there, too. You know, the one thing is, though, same thing with Spider-Man and him. No real protection on him.
No.
You know, no menace, no flying.
Well,
no
I mean, an
vigilance.
8/8 doesn't need a lot of protection.
True. So
Beefy boy.
But yeah, but he is a 7-drop. He is in blue black. He's dimmer. So you know, I'm curious on the synergy with that one to see how it works out. But the next card that you're gonna hit is his card as well, like the previous one was for Goblin.
So it's Grasping Tentacles, 1 a blue and a black. Sorcery, target opponent mills 8 cards. You may get an artifact card. Well, mine's really bad.
You may put an artifact card
There we
from
go.
them, that player's graveyard, onto the battlefield under your control. Now that card, however,
Yeah.
that is a gross card.
Yep.
For 3 mana, you get to mill 8 and then pick any artifact from their graveyard and put it into play underneath your control. Again, not until end of turn. You just get it.
Yep.
That's a gross card.
Yeah. I mean, it depends how many artifacts your opponent's playing.
True.
Choose your opponent wisely.
Yeah. I mean, I will say, though, if you're playing Commander, everyone's got a soul ring.
Of course, if you play Mycosynth Lattice, everything's an artifact.
Yeah, that's the other thing, too. I mean, like, there's a lot of crazy combos you can do with this. I think the synergy is cool. The art's pretty cool, too. But, yeah, I think that card is arguably probably out of these that we're seeing, that one might be, like, the best card because that is gross. It sets your opponents back, and it potentially puts you ahead simultaneously for 3 mana. Like, you can't ask for more than that.
No. All right, so just because of time, we're going to speed right along. We're going to Final Fantasy. We can't read all of these.
Yeah, we're not going to read all of these. There's way too many. If you go to magicspoiler.com, that's the website we usually use here to look up all this kind of stuff. You can see all the ones that they are showcasing right now, but most of the characters that you assume they were going to make, they're showing that they've made.
Right. A lot of them are already released or announced. Many more will be. There will be commander sets for this one.
Yes.
Commander sets will have their own code. And the commander sets, the cards will be vintage and our commander, legacy, and vintage legal. The rest of it is standard legal. They have the MSRPs already for that. Play boosters will be $6.99. Collector boosters will be $37.99. Commander decks will be $69.99. Now, this has been a point of contention for a lot of people because those are much higher price points for standard legal sets.
Yeah.
You know, we're used to it because we're commander, but for a standard legal set, that's very expensive.
I will even say these commander decks are much higher than we've seen in the recent years.
Yep.
$70 for a commander deck is what it's showing me here. $69.99.
Yep.
They're usually $49.99.
Yeah, but for the premium sets, they are $69, like for Modern Horizons 3 last year.
Yeah, but again,
so that's what they're calling this, but it's standard legal. So how are you calling it premium?
Exactly. That's what
and so that's the complaint.
Yeah.
You know, so I get it. The other thing, which I didn't realize, there are collector's edition commander decks,
which are $149.99.
But again, standard for the premium sets. That's usually when they make the commander decks. I've never been interested in buying those before. I won one in a tournament, but I may buy these as collector.
Yeah, I feel like if you were going to buy any collector, again, because of the fandom for Final Fantasy, these are probably good ones to get your hands on, because I'm sure they're going to be very sought after after this set drops if you did not get your hands on one.
Right.
Gift bundle like normal, and the normal bundle sets they're doing, again, which are the boxes with the spin downs in them, and X amount of play boosters, usually between 8 and 10, like I said before.
Yep.
So similar stuff they're doing for the other sets as well, but this one has a couple extra things thrown in there.
So some points of interest that people may be wondering about. We will go in a few cards in a minute.
Yeah, absolutely.
But just some broad strokes first. There are chocobos. People who are wondering.
Yep, chocobo.
There is
the
multiple
chocobo, so.
chocobos, I would say,
Yeah.
because they have one that is somebody specific.
Yep.
Cloud is in it.
Yep.
A couple different versions of Cloud.
Yeah, he has a couple versions as we've seen thus far.
The infamous Sephiroth with the art that some people don't like.
Yep.
There's something called a side quest in this, which is a type of enchantment.
Yep.
Which I think is kind of cool. If you're going to do a video game, side quests are kind of cool.
Yeah, absolutely.
Terra, Herald of Hope. There's the other Cloud. Emmet Selsh Unsundered.
And it does look like they're doing like some anime style cards in this set
Well,
too.
it's an anime game, so that makes sense.
Right. So, but up until this point, we hadn't seen, I at least myself, I hadn't seen any arts like this released yet. So the fact that they're doing these full art anime style cards, the one I'm looking at here is Yuffie Kisaragi and Dragon of Mount Golg, are these kind of full art anime-esque looking art styles.
So Titus, Yuna's Guardian. I know that's one of the commanders in the commander decks. Ishtala, Knights Blessed is another. Yuffie, of course, is in it. For those of you that know Final Fantasy, Yuffie, very popular character. She is a reprint of Yuriko the Tiger Shadow.
Oh, reprint.
There is also a reprint rehash of Ancient Copper Dragon, which is called Dragon of Mount Golg.
Yeah, that's the anime art one.
Moogles are in it. There is Stiltskin, Moogle Merchant. He's a card. I'm skipping over one because I want to talk about that.
Right, yeah.
Sin, Spira's Punishment, legendary creature. Cecil Dark Knight.
Yeah, I myself not.
And then some alternate arts they're showing.
Yeah.
Garland, Knight of Cornelia. This one, so there are summon cards. So these are like sagas, but they're summons. I think that's very cool because summoning is a big part of Final Fantasy.
Yeah.
So you summon Shiva as one of the cards. Very cool flavor. Very, very cool. Tonberry. So we'll read a couple. There's one card I specifically didn't mention. I guess we can start with that because I want to talk about that one a little bit, and that may take the rest of the time, but we'll see. Jumbo Cactuar.
Yeah, this is a problem.
Yeah. So it's
someone
7
ever
mana.
said-
7 mana.
Yeah, but
5 and 2 green.
who cares?
It's only a 1/7.
It's green.
It's 1/7. Come
Okay.
on, what could the problem be, right?
Yeah,
it's a
read the
1/7.
rest of it. For
So it
those
has
who
an
don't
ability
know-
called 10,000 Needles. I mean, come on, they're needles, right? Whenever this creature attacks, it gets plus 9999 / plus 0 until end of turn.
Yeah.
That's ridiculous because everybody is like, just fling it.
Yeah. Yeah, why not? It's
I attack, I hold priority, I fling.
yeah. You know
There's
what's even
now a
crazier?
10,000 power.
Cool. He's
coming
in
at-
Calamax. I instantly copy it also for free, the fling.
Yeah,
And then I copy it
10,000
again.
damage to you.
10,000
and
and yeah, everyone's dead. Does anyone want to try to stop them from taking 70,000 damage? No? Okay, game's over.
Yeah.
Like, this card is such a problem, it's not even funny. First off, it's in green. Yeah, it's 7 mana, 5/2 green. Yeah, you know what green does really well? Ramp. Know what it does better than any other color? Ramp. Like, that's ridiculous.
Well, the other thing is,
You know what it also does? Gives trample like it's a freaking piece of candy.
yeah, you have trample, and you have trample, and you have trample.
Yo, for some reason, this 0/0 is leaving on the field and it's in green. Oh, it magically becomes a 10/10 with trample and menace somehow. It's like, what is going on with green?
Yeah. And then the other thing is, it's a 1 power. There are so many ways to sneak that through
Oh, yeah.
because
Access
as a
tunnel.
1, it can't be blocked.
Yeah, access tunnel.
I guess the ability would go on the stack before blockers. So I guess that.
No, all you do.
But
is,
you can use access tunnel.
Yeah.
You can use any of the stuff. There's stuff that says creatures power
in
to
main
or
phase. Yeah.
Yeah.
As long as you use it in the main phase.
Rogue's
it doesn't matter.
Passage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Rogue's Passage you just pay 4 and tap it.
Yeah,
It becomes
but
unblockable.
the other one is
access
two-
tunnel specifically is I think you pay 3, tap it. Target creature with power 2 or less is unblockable. To start.
Yes, you do that
So
before
you do it in
attack.
main phase. Yeah, he's a 1. Great. He's unblockable. I move to combat. I swing at you. He's 10,000 damage. That's
Yes.
unblockable. Yeah.
You also play the card, the commander that says damage you deal to one player, you deal to all of them.
Yeah, exactly. Like there's so many ridiculous ways to break this
Whisper
card.
Silk Cloak.
Yeah.
Just give him flying. Even that's got to be problematic.
I mean, Rancor is a freaking 1-drop enchantment that gives target creature +2/+0 and trample. And if it gets sent to the graveyard, it goes back to your hand. The enchantment does. Like it's ridiculous. Like the fact that they made this card and everybody at Magic and Wizards was like, yeah, that's fine. Is slightly concerning because there must have been some stuff being passed around the office that day. It's all I can say.
I mean, I think the term math is for blockers. I think they're like math is for players. Let them figure out how to deal with the 10,000/7 coming out.
When this card comes out, someone attack somebody with it and tell me if anyone even gets close to being able to block it. Like, even gets close.
Well, so I know how it goes when you put a cool card in your deck.
Yeah.
What's going to happen the first few times is you don't get any of the other stuff.
Right, yeah.
It's going to be frustrating. That's what always happens. You don't get the Rogue's Passage. You don't get the Escape Tunnel. You don't get the Whisper Silk Cloak. You don't get the Fling.
Yeah.
You don't get any of that stuff. You're like, I got the Cactuar. He's not going to get through. Poor Cactuar.
I'm telling you what, though, man. Like, I would not be surprised if this goes on the Game Changers list.
I think it might.
shortly after it comes out
might.
because it's especially because I think too this is a rare, right? Yeah. So this is a rare.
Not a mythic.
No, not a mythic, just a rare, and it's also a non-legendary creature. So,
Well, I mean, that's good at least. It can't be your commander.
yeah, sure, but this is a standard set.
Yeah.
You can have 4 of these in your deck.
Yeah.
Yeah. This very quickly is going to become a standard staple, I feel like, where people are like, oh, a 10,007? All I have to do is give it trample? Yeah, I could do that in green.
Yeah.
Like, it's going to be a problem. I'm sorry, Wizards, I think you're cheeky. You're cheeky little you-know-whats, but this is going to be a problem so fast. This might be one of the biggest problems they've ever made. Like,
I mean, that's a little extreme, but
well, hold on, let me finish with that. This might be the biggest problem they've made in like recent history.
Yeah.
Like, this might nudge out Nadu. Like, Nadu might look more reasonable.
I don't know about that. Nadu was
Wait.
similar to this. People are like, that's not broken by itself. It's not broken.
Yeah.
But hold my beer.
Yeah. Exactly. Like, I just can't. I can't stop laughing at the fact that they made this card.
But the thing is, if you play Final Fantasies,
Right.
you've played a game where the Cactuar is attacking and it does its ability, and all of a sudden it says +9999.
Right.
So they took this right out of the video game, and props to them for that.
But again, this is one of those moments where it's like, but does it work for Magic? Like, I get that you want this to be in there because it's iconic for the game, but does it work for Magic? And the answer is no. It's so easily broken. It's absurd.
Yeah.
Like, the first thing I thought of is, yeah, I'm going to put this in Calamax. 100%. Like, why would I not? Like, this is an instant win.
I mean, somebody else pointed out, give it Myriad.
Yeah. Oh, what does that? I don't know. A bunch of artifact equipment?
Yep.
Like, man,
Blade of
this card's
Cells by
silly.
itself. Just
Yeah,
there you
but
go.
yeah, exactly. Like, it's so silly. And again, it's not hard to give it trample and green. And the fact that it's only mono green mean as long as you're running green in your deck, this guy's good to go. You don't have to
Yeah.
worry about doing a second
If you're playing
color.
red green, Kessig's Wolf Run is still the best way, I think.
Oh
Like,
my gosh.
it's just a land, just a little land.
And you just pay, literally, you could pay 0 green and a red and tap
Yep,
it, and
yep.
you give it trample.
Yep.
Yeah, it's. And in red, if you do red too, the green red guy is the one that does damage to all. There's the creature in there. That's the one that does the
red
damage.
commander.
Yeah, the one that
Fling is in there.
Yeah,
That's
Fling.
that's where you want to be. Red green.
Yeah, red green. If you're gonna build a red green deck and throw in Jumbo.
And you might as well throw in the new Ancient Copper Dragon too, because that wasn't a problem.
Yeah, right. Which thanks for reprinting that. I'm really excited to see everyone get more of those. So, but yeah, I mean for them, what they did, like, good job. It seems like they did a pretty good job with sticking with the theme of the game, Final Fantasy. I know my buddy's really excited. He bought a bunch of the pre-cons, specifically the Cloud one. Cloud's one of his favorite characters of all time, and he's actually cosplayed as him and did a really good job of it. So built his own Buster Sword. But yeah, so I think overall, I mean, the set looks to be pretty interesting. I'm not seeing anything besides, Cactuar that are jumping out as this is going to be a problem.
No, and I definitely think the legendary creatures from the standard set are much more tame.
Yeah.
The legendary creatures from the commander sets, still not broken, but they have a little bit more power, a little bit more to play with there, a little bit more that you're like, okay, this is something I want to play with.
Right.
We will just real quick, I will pick one and you can pick one to read.
Yeah.
You guys can always go and read your own. I'll read Cloud, Planet's Champion. 3 red and a white. Legendary creature, human soldier, mercenary. During your turn, as long as Cloud is equipped, it has double strike and indestructible. And then equip abilities you activate. The target Cloud costs 2 less to activate. So yet another commander who breaks equipment. Because it doesn't matter what equipment you have, he gets double strike and indestructible on top of it, and it costs 2 less to equip.
Yeah. So,
fantastic.
Yeah, so all those ones that kind of suck because they don't really do anything, yeah, they're great with him.
Yep.
Like, there's a lot that are like equipped creature gets +1/+0, equip cost is 1 or 2.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're great with him. They're fantastic.
Yep. I mean, think about though, all the swords, all those broken swords.
Oh yeah.
It's going to cost 1 to equip them.
Yeah.
So,
Yep. Silly. I'm going to go with Cecil Dark Knight. It's actually a flip card, which is why I picked it. So it's 1 black. It's a human knight, 2/3, legendary creature, death touch, darkness. Whenever Cecil deals damage, you lose that much life. Then if your life total is less than or equal to half your starting life total, untap Cecil and transform it. So this is a cool ability because it actually damages yourself.
Yep.
In order to make this work. So then when you flip him over, he becomes legendary creature human knight. He is Cecil Redeemed Paladin. Lifelink, protect. Whenever Cecil attacks, other attacking creatures gain indestructible until end of turn, and he's a 4/4. So pretty cool kind of concept where really cool part is it's a 1-drop commander.
Yep.
And 2-sided. They have a bunch of alternate arts for him. His alternate art, which I'm going to show Duncan, and hopefully he'll find this picture. That is a sick picture.
Yeah, no, I saw it.
As well as the flip side for it.
Yeah.
Very, very cool and clean looking.
Yeah, the anime ones are very
cool. Anime ones it's very clean and very cool looking. So, pretty cool card. I think that'd be a really fun commander to mess around with, where it's like I want to kind of kill myself a little bit, and then I get to make this busted, redeemed paladin on the other side come out and start walloping people left and right because I have a bunch of indestructible creatures that no one can touch. So, kind of cool idea, and I like the idea of it flipping into it based off of the ability triggering, and then it basically can potentially gain you back all the stuff that you lost.
Right.
With lifelink.
No, it's very cool. I think that there's a lot to play with in this Final Fantasy set just from what they released so far, which isn't a lot. Mm-hmm. I don't know about Yuffie being an assassin. That seems... Well, I played that game, and I didn't... I think she was a cleric or something in it, if I remember right. Yeah. But she wasn't an assassin for sure. I don't know. Anyway.
I'll have to check with my official Final Fantasy nerd Taylor.
Yeah. But, so... Sorry that we didn't get to go through as many cards for that. We are trying to keep our episodes. We gone a little long. We're trying to keep it under control. Yeah. This one's going to be a little over an hour. So, but you can look them up yourself, and we may talk about them some more before the set comes out.
Yeah, especially when it gets a little bit closer to releasing, because of the fact that we'll get more and more information. Obviously, we'll try to sit down and go through it a little bit better for you guys.
Yep. But before we sign off, I do want to remind you about the contest we're running. We are giving away the Marvel Secret Lair Foil Edition. That's all of the Marvel Secret Lair Foil Edition to the winner. It's unopened. It is sealed. It does not have the Arcane Signet, which was the Earth's Mightiest Emblem.
Correct.
That was an add-on. I did not get there early enough to get that, even though I was on within 3 seconds. So sorry about that.
Never stop saying that.
Yeah.
You'll remember that the rest of your life.
But to enter that, just send us an email, cast@commanderspod.com, subject line contest. In the body, put where you subscribe to us and what your handle is. You must subscribe to either YouTube or Patreon or both to be eligible to win this, because the whole point is to get more subscribers on those.
Yep.
We do need to hit 50. We
YouTube.
are so close on
Yeah.
YouTube. We have to hit 50 subscribers on YouTube. So close. We have until the 28th of March this month.
A couple weeks left.
We are at 44 as we went into this episode.
Yeah.
We are right there. 6 more and we're there. So if you were holding off thinking, I don't know if they're going to make it, I mean, we're 6 away. We're going to make it.
Yeah.
And once we make it, we'll start adding some more secondary prizes. We do right now have a crossbody bag and a backpack. Those you do not have to be YouTube. You just have to be subscribed somewhere.
Right.
And if whether or not we hit 50, we will still give those away, but we're going to hit 50.
Absolutely.
And I already have some other stuff I'm thinking of adding, some very cool prizes. So the sooner we hit the 50, the sooner I'll add those, because I want to push for as many subscribers as we can get on YouTube.
Yep. And then as a reminder too, Patreon will give you 3 entries for the drawing, and everything else gives you 1. So
Right.
YouTube, Apple, Spotify, anywhere else you're listening to us on.
iHeartRadio.
iHeart. Make sure you send us your handle, where you're at, and then if you're on the Patreon, you automatically get 3, and then you'll get 1 entry for everything else to increase your chances of getting that prizes or the secondary and third prize.
Yep. So we're going to start doing more Patreon call outs soon. I want to get into that. So probably starting next episode, we'll start calling them out. If you're a Patreon subscriber, you should already have gotten your handle for I was behind on getting the handle out for the Discords, but I did link it in the Patreon, so you should have that. If not, just give us a contact and we'll get that sent out to you. And that's about that for that. So
I think that's it.
yeah, that's all the time we have for this week. Thank you for joining us. Don't forget to email us, castcommanderspod.com, if you have any deck ideas, show ideas, feedback, anything you want to say, or to enter the contest. You can check us out on Patreon, patreon.com/commanderspod. We'd sure love to have your support there. A lot of new members there. We're excited about that. Don't forget youtube.com/commanderspod or @commanderspod. And as always, actually, as recently, I am still saying, free Jingataxius.
Commander's Pod, where the stories unfold, with heroes and villains new and old. Duncan and Sloan guide the way in the world of Eidolons we play. So tune in, friends, let's draw and go. In the Commander's Pod, the love will show. From our decks and yours, we share the spark in this world of magic. We'll leave on low.